So, you want to save the world with clean energy? Make money doing it? Confused about the economic and technical realities of residential and commercial solar, batteries, heat pumps, EVs? Want the real-world scoop on new energy technologies, not manufacturer hype? Then tune in to the Weekly Energy Show, hosted by Barry Cinnamon. Insights from Barry's 40-plus years in the solar and energy industry will help you understand the future ways we'll generate and consume energy. And now, here's Barry.
Welcome to this week's Energy Show. Now, people talk about solar panels a lot, at least the people I talk to, and it's what you see on rooftops. But the real heart of a solar and battery storage system is the inverter. The inverter changes the DC power from a solar panel into usable AC power for your home or business. Now, solar panels have become commodities, but inverters are still quite specialized. It's not just the inverter, but it's also the electronics that go under the solar panels. These electronics provide safety and monitoring capabilities. And things like battery storage systems, EV charging, and home energy management are getting integrated into what the inverter does. The leading inverter company in the world is SolarEdge. They have the best combination of efficiency, safety, installation ease, and overall cost. It's my pleasure to have Peter Matthews on this week's Energy Show. Peter's the North America GM for SolarEdge. He's done a terrific job building SolarEdge into the leader in the U.S., and they have the technology that's best positioned, in my view, for a future distributed grid. So welcome to the show, Peter.
Barry, thanks for having me.
All right, great. Now, if you could just give our listeners an overview of SolarEdge's key products and what problems they're solving for customers.
Sure. We began developing a residential inverter technology about 10, 12 years ago, and then started introducing those products here in North America and around the world about 7 or 8 years ago. What we have is a residential inverter system that has basically 3 components. We have a component that goes on the roof. We call it a power optimizer, and this is a little box that sits under each and every panel and converts and controls that panel such that we can both monitor it, turn it on and off, and measure what's going on within the panel. That then connects to a inverter, which sits on the side of your home, and that is wrapped around cloud-based monitoring that allows you to monitor the system, control the system in real time from anywhere in the world. So we call that an optimized inverter system. And we've been quite successful in selling that product here in the United States. We have about 1 million systems on the side of homeowners, places of residence in all 50 states. That's the basic inverter technology that we sell.
Okay, good. What about some of the other components in terms of the EV charging and batteries?
Well, the main mission of an inverter is to convert the DC energy from the panels into usable AC energy in the home. We've taken that basic concept and have built basically a smart energy platform architecture around the inverter. And when you think about smart energy, it's really about how do you generate clean, renewable power in your home, and then how do you consume that energy smartly. And there's lots of areas within your home that you're using the energy, be it charging your car, be it obviously running your HVAC system, and all the other consumers of power in the home. So we're building a family of different products to smartly consume it. Things like smart EV chargers that connect in through the inverter, things like battery systems to both back up the power in your home if the grid goes down, but also to smartly use that energy that's stored in a battery and consume it in the home at the right times during the day to minimize the cost of electricity you're using in your home. So there's other areas that we support, things like smart switches, relays, looking towards the future, things like your heating and cooling systems, all being integrated through a smart energy platform, controllable, from anywhere from your smartphone and running seamlessly in the cloud.
Terrific products here in the U.S. Where else does SolarEdge operate? Tell us about your global activities.
Yeah, so we're the largest inverter supplier around the world. Our products are in approximately 150 countries. We sell basically the same platform, a residential system, a commercial system that goes on the roof of a business, and we sell systems for utilities that allow you to produce utility scale power. So we do that pretty much in every country that's installing solar, from basically every country in Western Europe. We have thousands of systems now in Africa, very popular now in Australia. We sell in Japan, a little bit of business in China, but other Asian countries, Taiwan, Malaysia, etc. So we're in lots of countries. We have approximately 30 sales offices around the world.
Wow, that's fantastic. How about Vietnam? I know you do manufacturing there. Any demand there yet?
It's growing. We do have sales agents in Vietnam, but that's a developing country in terms of the use of solar energy. But I would expect in the coming years it's going to be a significant market.
Yeah. All right. I mentioned Vietnam because of the tariff situation. How is SolarEdge addressing the tariffs that hit in the U.S. from anything manufactured in China?
Yeah. So we've always manufactured our products in different places around the world. Most of our U.S. products have been produced in China. And when the tariffs were announced a little over a year ago, we decided to accelerate a second Asian manufacturing site. It happens to be in Vietnam. That factory is now running and producing products, and we are also building a new factory in Europe. So expect to be able to supply products pretty much from any part of the world into any market in the world, and we will use the local situation, be it what's most efficient from a logistics perspective, or in the case of the United States, what avoids the tariff. So we'll be capable of supporting the U.S. from any of those factories, and who knows what's going to happen with the tariff, but either way, we will be in a good position to support customers here.
Yeah, now it's a huge uncertainty as far as where things are manufactured, and you line up a supply chain, and then boom, the whole thing has to change. It's a challenge.
Yeah, and our other direction is we've been slowly but carefully automating our manufacturing processes, so things like optimizers where we build, something like 100,000 of those a day. Those are pretty much produced in a fully robotic manufacturing capability. So we have the ability to put that infrastructure in literally anywhere in the world. And as long as you have the supply chain on the components, we can build where we want.
All right, cool. Well, talking about uncertainty, how is the power crisis in California affecting SolarEdge's products and demand and solving those problems for customers?
Yeah, we've always had a great solar plus storage offering. Here in the U.S., we've probably installed more than 25,000 systems around the country, from California, Hawaii, the Northeast, the Southeast, where, they've been hit by lots of hurricanes, places like Puerto Rico. So we've been slowly but surely developing what we call our SolarEdge product, which is a traditional single-phase residential inverter that when the power goes out, it switches over into backup mode and can provide power to the home, assuming you have battery. So we have partnered with a variety of different battery companies. We support companies like Tesla and LG Chem, and have deployed, again, close to 25,000 systems around the country. So you can come and buy that product today from any one of our installers, including Cinnamon Energy, to put those systems in. We have a really exciting roadmap for those products in the coming months and years. Homeowners now are, when they're looking at solar, are actually deciding to add energy storage right up front. With the initial purchase, there's fantastic incentives, both from the federal government in terms of the investment tax credit, which allows you to take the battery now, and also states like California and even local utilities. Something was announced here in the Bay Area just yesterday about our big three local utilities accelerating the installation of solar plus storage. So I think it's a very, very exciting time. There's lots of new products coming, both from us and a variety of other companies, that will allow, I think, homeowners in the United States to legitimately think about having a seamless backup, solar plus storage backup system for their homes. Secondarily, for those that already have solar, and I'm sure, Barry, you've seen this in the last couple of weeks, phones ringing off the hook of how do I get my system that I already invested in to help me when there are backups. So there are definitely paths for those customers to upgrade their system with, calling their solar contractor, and there may have to be some wiring done, obviously adding a battery and the necessary hardware to control that battery. But there are upgrade paths. The good news is most of the stuff on the roof that they've already invested in, the panels, et cetera, don't need to be touched.
Yeah,
and that's a big part of the investment. The inverter and the battery and the other components, again, with a good qualified electrical contractor, they can get a backup system put in.
Yeah. Well, Peter, I think you're understating a little bit how good the SolarEdge product is, because there's really, when you're looking at installing something on a home or a business, there's not a lot of choices out there that are really going to be reliable, relatively easy to install, and that are going to work for, guaranteed 10 to 25 years. We've been kind of really careful about selecting equipment, and SolarEdge is, in my view, one of the very best there as far as something that's just going to work and give us good referrals as far as our customers go.
Yeah, thank you. I think the key really looking at this business going forward is these are complex systems. They have to operate in complex environments, working with utilities, powers on, powers off, lots of electronics in the home. I think the key is going to be companies that can integrate all the technology pieces together, have them work seamlessly under one software layer that's easy to control from your phone or from your computer, and obviously is reliable, comes with a great warranty, backed by a company that's going to be around for a long time. That's really what people are looking at. So I think we've definitely focused and are investing heavily in that area to give customers a seamless one-stop solution for smart energy, from the inverter, batteries, control of the batteries, charging your electric vehicle, controlling your HVAC, potentially, running other components, other systems in your home.
Yeah, and, it's not just customers. I mean, customers' view into this thing is the stuff hanging on the wall and the app that they have, but the other stakeholder that you guys do a good job of working with are contractors and installers, and it's maddening from a contractor standpoint to try and, load software from 3 or 4 different companies to get all these things working, and it's kind of a pleasure to work with one vendor that has the perspective of, let's just do it once and make one app.
Yeah.
All right, so Peter, what about the trend towards EVs and people getting rid of their gas cars and relying on electricity to get to work and drive around?
Sure. I mean, it's a mega trend that is accelerating. Just to give you a perspective, in my office, the last 10 cars purchased by our employees have all been electric vehicles. People are starting to seriously consider EVs on any purchase, and it's certainly on the list now when people go to consider purchasing a new car. And the electrification of transportation is probably the biggest change that's going to take place in the grid in the coming years. Depending on whose numbers you believe, in 10 or 15 or 20 years, they're going to stop making gas-powered cars and everything's going to be electric. Now, that's going to have just a dramatic impact on what goes on in your home. And when you're sitting down today to buy a solar system or to buy a battery system or to wire your home, you should be thinking about how electric vehicles are going to work with your home, with all the other components of your home. 90% of charging today is done at the home. Very little charging is done outside the home. So most likely everyone's going to be charging at home. And so we as a company are thinking very carefully about how do we blend this new need for charging into your smart energy consumption. So the first thing we did was we took this very nice small solar inverter and we put a built-in EV charger right in the inverter. Now, why would you do that? You can go down on Amazon and buy a standalone charger and plug it in. Well, when you do that, it costs you a lot of money. It costs you about $1,000 to create this circuit for the charger. But guess what? When you have a solar system, that circuit's already there. And basically, the EV charger runs right through the solar inverter, not allowing you to avoid that additional cost. Secondly, when the sun is out and your panels are producing electricity and plug in your car, effectively you're charging your car in real time from the sun. So that's a product we brought to market about a year ago, selling very nicely. But now looking forward, people are getting EVs. They're going to get a second EV, and it's going to be 20, 30, 40, maybe even 50% of the consumption in their home in a number of years. And so we need to develop products now because no one wants to come back and swap out their solar system, their inverter, to deal with the coming electrification of transportation. So we have a very nice roadmap of products that are going to allow you to integrate EV chargers into systems that actually you already have today, if it's a solar system. So when you come back in a year, 2 years, 5 years, you're going to be able to bring that charger into your home. We'll have faster chargers. We'll have chargers that allow you to use the electricity from the roof and really manage that charging through smart time of use methods so that you're minimizing the cost. You don't want to be charging, certainly in California, in the afternoon. You want to be charging at night when the electricity rates are the lowest. Obviously, you want your charger to be able to handle that while taking into account all the other things it's doing in your home at the same time.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of technology in that, and it's very cool the way it works because you want to be charging when electricity is 15 cents or so kilowatt hour at night, and not when it's 48 cents or so during the day.
Yeah. And, the key is you're going to have a battery. You're going to have an electric vehicle. You're going to have an electric vehicle charger. There's lots of talk about using that battery that's in your car and using it in a vehicle-to-grid mode and pushing the energy out of the car battery and back in your home if you need it. Those are all emerging technologies that you will see deployed in the home of the future in the coming years. All very, very exciting.
Yeah, and I kind of look at, the inverters, the one big chunk of technology that you've got that's wired into your electrical panel, and you've got an app that's there, so your app and your inverter can be kind of the brains of the system.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. All right, we're talking a lot about residential, but what about commercial solar products? A few years ago, SolarEdge started releasing some solar optimizers that are optimized for commercial installations. You've got commercial inverters, and we're really happy using those too because it's the safest, most cost-effective way for us to do installations.
Yeah. If you look both in the U.S. and around the world, putting solar on a building or in a commercial application is actually larger than the residential market. Here in the U.S., it's about 80% the size of the residential market and growing nicely. So obviously buildings have the luxury of big, large roofs and are a perfect place to put solar panels. So we started developing commercial products 5 or 6 years ago, and now we're one of the largest supplier of commercial inverter systems for businesses in the United States and around the world. This is a technology based on our optimized inverter technology where we put this small power optimizer on the roof with the panels, and those power optimizers allow you to see each and every panel, how it's operating, and to maximize the amount of energy it's producing, depending on the conditions, whether it's dirty, whether there's shade, et cetera, et cetera. So again, optimizing the maximum amount of power and then bringing it down to a string inverter that allows you to connect it to the grid. So we've installed our system in more than 10,000 businesses around the country. And places from, if you go to Mountain View here in the area, most of Google's roofs have a solar system on them. We're on many Walmarts and Targets around the country, and we are the most popular inverter system, especially in places that require the next generation safety, known as the NEC 2017 code, that requires you to have this ability to control each and every module, which is a very important safety feature that states are adopting around the country.
Yeah, and it's nice that it all comes from one vendor and it's all controlled. I really like the safety features. That's something that we want to make sure that it's done right. It's never going to have an issue, and we've got that, and we also have the monitoring and the notification.
Yeah, and you're hearing more and more, both in the U.S. and around the world, the concern around safety of PV systems. There's been a handful of fires reported. Luckily, we haven't been involved in any of those. And customers are now really taking safety very, very seriously because these systems are essentially up on a roof. No one can see them. And how they work with these different, voltage situations. Safety is going to probably become one of the most important criteria as customers select these systems, and happy to report that we have definitely the safest system available in the world today.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. We talked about commercial solar. What about commercial energy storage? Just as homeowners are frustrated when the power goes out in California, businesses are basically out of business.
Yeah, so obviously businesses up until now, they buy generators. And generators are, they're flexible, they're mobile. Unfortunately, they require fossil fuels. They don't run for very long. If you're looking at big power outages, the next thing you know, the gas stations aren't running, so you can't go get fuel. If they're being supplied through natural gas, they turn off the natural gas. So generators in real power outage situations are, not the panacea that everyone thinks they are. So that and the way that utilities charge for power businesses, they're charged by basically the peak power they use at any time during the year. It's called a demand charge. And when you can get a nice commercial battery system on a business that has energy there at the waiting and can react to a situation where the business is starting to use more power, rather than get it from the utility and have that very high demand charge, it pulls energy from the battery and keeps that business with a much, much lower utility bill. So SolarEdge is a company very, very committed to offering commercial storage products. We'll be introducing commercial storage products next year. We bought a large lithium-ion battery company out of South Korea last year, and we're in the process of preparing both residential and commercial products that will allow businesses to install batteries for both peak demand avoidance and backup. It's a big market, and I think businesses really haven't had the option of one-stop, fully integrated battery systems that work with their solar system. So I think we will be probably the first company that integrates the solar plus storage into a good, seamless commercial application.
And your timing is terrific. I mean, somehow there's a residential solution. We need a business solution. I've been very hesitant to adopt some of the hodgepodge, integrate from 3 different companies solutions on there for commercial customers. So, we're looking forward to having a good solution for commercial backup power and that demand charge mitigation from one company. So.
Yeah. Our solution is a little bit different in that we're doing what's called DC coupling, which is we're taking the solar DC energy that's produced by the solar panels and we're transferring it directly to the battery. All other solutions require you to convert it twice from DC to AC and then AC back to DC. The battery is a DC battery. All batteries are DC. So when we use our method, we don't do that double conversion. And that saves you somewhere between 5 and 10% of the energy, which drives the economics. Yeah. So we think that the most efficient way to charge batteries directly from the sun.
Yeah, that makes sense. And also, you only need one inverter. And instead of an AC coupled system where you have a solar inverter and you have backup power inverter, which is just more hardware to go wrong and more software to get it to work properly.
Yeah. But you'll see there'll be good AC coupled solutions, DC coupled solutions out there, depending on the application. Generally, if you're doing a retrofit late in the life, you'll probably try something with an AC coupled. We will definitely support that and do support that today.
Yeah. All right, makes sense. All right. Well, how can people get in touch with SolarEdge?
Well, we're obviously on the web, SolarEdge.com. We've got a 800 number. I don't remember what it is, but we're located here in Barry's backyard here in Fremont, California.
Go to the website, SolarEdge.com. Talk to the chatbot. Going to get good service that way. So anyway, all right, that's all the time we have on this week's Energy Show. Thanks, Peter, for joining us. And thanks to all our listeners for tuning in. If you missed any of today's show, you can always go to our website at cinnamon.energy and listen to the podcasts.
So, you want to save the world with clean energy? Make money doing it? Confused about the economic and technical realities of residential and commercial solar, batteries, heat pumps, EVs? Want the real-world scoop on new energy technologies, not manufacturer hype? Then tune in to the Weekly Energy Show, hosted by Barry Cinnamon. Insights from Barry's 40-plus years in the solar and energy industry will help you understand the future ways we'll generate and consume energy. And now, here's Barry.